Well, welcome everyone to Career Day at Metro State, and this is the Atomic Data session. My name is Labar Spence. I'm a career coach in the Career Center, and I'm joined by my colleagues Emily Johnson, who is also a career coach, and Bill Ballas, who is our Career Center Director. And we are your one-stop shop for anything career related and professional development. So please do utilize the services. I used to say take advantage of us, but that never worked. So welcome. And so let me introduce our guest today. Tim Heimel is a recruiter at Atomic Data. He spent 10 years in the airline industry before Atomic Data. And he's been doing recruiting for about 6 years, just relatively new to Atomic Data, 4 months, and learning all the acronyms. So one he's going to throw out, NOC is Network Operations Center. So that'll be quizzed later. And then joining us also is Zach Mcnealy. And Zach happens to be an alum of Metro State. He had spent 11 years in the Navy and then worked on a number of different roles where he has worked in the NOC 1, NOC 2, NOC team lead, and now as an infrastructure engineer. And so hopefully you'll pay attention so that can be explained to you what he really does. So welcome, Zach. And then last but not least is Dustin Saunders. And Dustin is a software engineer. Hi, Dustin, and glad to have you here. Dustin spent about 2 decades in technology and business operations. I think he's seen a few changes over those 2 decades, I can imagine. He's worked in support, DBA work, project management development. He also was a co-founder of Quill Security Technology. And instead of retiring to a warm like climate, he decided to sell that ownership and now work for Atomic Data. And he works in the software area, helping to scope, architect, and build solutions. So welcome, Tim, Zach, and Dustin. And Tim, it's all yours.
Great. Like you said, I am Tim Heimel. I'm the recruiter for Atomic Data. Prior to this, I was in the airline industry for 10 years before making the jump over here. Still new to the IT industry. I'm sure you will all find Zach and Dustin to be much better technical resources than I am on the subject. I'm going to share my screen right here, just a brief presentation because we have so many participants here. I'm going to go through just kind of who we are real quick, and then I'll move on to the question and answer. We want to make sure to be able to answer as many of your questions as we can here. So real quick, Atomic Data, we are a information technology as a service company. Our guiding principles, 3 words: safe, simple, smart. Safe, IT security is not optional to us. This idea drives what we do and how we think. Simplicity, we know IT is complex, but we manage this complexity with ease so you can focus on your business. Smart, we know that the industry is always changing and we are changing along with it to serve our clients. At Atomic Data, we strive to meet our clients where they are. The demands of their business drive how we support them, not the other way around. We'll get with our clients to provide what they need, as much as or as little maintenance as they want. Again, it's called IT as a service, and it's at the core of who we are and what we do. Just a brief map here, kind of what we provide. Up at the top, there's IT as a service. So we provide architecture, infrastructure, professional services, implementation, cloud solutions to go along with security and compliance, and the support and monitoring of our system. Across the globe and around the corner, we are doing business in 50 countries, headquartered in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with branch offices in California, New York, Texas, Colorado, and France. And you can see our list of data centers there, 3 in Minneapolis and 1 in Dallas-Fort Worth. We were founded in 2001 as a data center colocation provider, privately held with 0 outside financing, with over 200 full-time staff and 500 clients with a less than 1% attrition rate. Perfect. And then I just did want to touch really quickly on our involvement in the community. We are IT experts who are fueled by your success, but perhaps even more importantly, we also strive to be good community stewards committed to leaving this world a little better than we found it. That's why every year Atomic Data commits its time and resources to support our community and enrich the lives of those who rely on nonprofit organizations around the world, from preparing food at Open Arms and First Covenant Church to building and staffing a library in Uganda. We are proud of our many contributions to our community and the causes close to our hearts. With that, just a kind of basic rundown there, I can kind of throw it to Justin here. Or I'm sorry, Dustin and Zach. Dustin, if you want to start off, just kind of giving us a little bit of your background and life here that brought you to Atomic and what you're doing now.
Yeah, my background, I kind of started technology and doing small development work, just kind of little pieces of consulting for businesses involving, you may take a small office out of a router or whatever. And then that kind of evolved into doing some data solutions for them. So moving through like that support side. And then between that, jumping around to a couple companies, sort of that serial entrepreneurship type thing for a while. And then finally started getting into management and moved into C-suite at a cloud company over in Egan. Following that, started the Quill Security technology, which was a physical security data analytics platform, trying to take that abstract risk versus assets and threats and create some actionable insights, and using some pathfinding algorithms and evaluation of your local security risks and your organization security risks, and then building a data model around that you could actually make financial decisions and security decisions about. And after moving on from that, selling the company, looked for another opportunity to do the software development because it's something that I really enjoy doing. I was just, sitting around doing personal projects and figured I'd go get paid somewhere to help them out. So sometimes a winding path to get into it, but here we are. That's sort of the background. What we do at Atomic Data in the software side is pretty robust. So it could be anything from providing, we'll say, level 3 support to the various teams here, to building actual applications for customers. That could be anything from web front end, it could be a CMS, it could be ERP solutions. We can also do ETL, which is a good way to describe that. Data translation between different systems. So you might think of that as automation of documents and information on documents between systems. We do automation of workflows through things like Azure Logic Apps, or working with Dell Boomi, things of that nature, and even building, the whole management system for companies on the back end, whether that's contact management, CRM functions, or integrating with things like physical machines and physical machine controls that we're communicating with through COM ports, that sort of thing. So it's extremely robust here in terms of what we do. But the number one thing that we always try and do is build value with customers when we are going through these software projects.
Perfect.
Justin, do you have an example of, I know you mentioned a lot of different ones, but I'm just curious if you could give the people just an idea of an example of the work you do, like maybe the majority of the work, or what, I don't know, just something more specific.
Sure. So a good example is a customer of ours is a big nationwide retailer, and they have point of sale systems in their store. They also have things like mobile applications that tell you when your appointment is ready to go into the store for the service that you've scheduled, and things like being able to design coupons and distribute those to people. This organization also has franchisees, which can create their own coupons. So part of our footprint for them is the messaging service and notification service for those appointments that would go out to their mobile applications. The actual data on the back end that gets synchronized into their point of sale systems, and the application that they use to create and manage those coupons that the people get. And that could be anything from expiration dates to percentages off. And then, of course, the complex business logic that goes behind all of that to make sure that everything is operating as intended by their corporate staff.
Perfect. And then Zach, if you're there, you want to tell us a little bit about your path and kind of your career at Atomic?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, probably a little less impressive than Dustin's background. Been in the Navy now for 11 years. So unrelated to Atomic. After moving back to Minnesota, started going to school, became interested in IT, enrolled in Metro State's Computer Information Technology program. While I was doing that, I also worked and got my few cybersecurity certifications through CompTIA, the Network Plus, Security Plus, and cybersecurity analyst certifications. Started with Atomic in 2018 in their Network Operations Center, which is essentially just their kind of frontline triage department, watching for client alerts on their systems and taking phone calls and doing the triage work and then escalating stuff that's out of their scope. So worked there for 2 years and then moved to an internal team, our product ops team. And I work on our internal systems now as an infrastructure engineer. Mostly I work with our virtual infrastructure and also our physical infrastructure. So, the physical hardware of our, servers that back our cloud products and our storage solutions as well. So, and then also our mostly working with, VMware products and then mostly Dell hardware. So
Zach, I did have a question. You had mentioned that you were pursuing your degree, and then you'd also gotten some certifications, Network Plus, Security Plus, and CYSA, Cybersecurity Plus. Were those certifications what enabled you to join Atomic Data while you were getting your degree, or how would you say you were able to break in prior to completing your degree?
I don't think so. I don't think those enabled me to break in prior to the degree. I think Atomic kind of brings people in at entry-level positions and kind of gives them, basic skills and builds them up. I think kind of just personal drive to kind of gain knowledge that gave me a foot in the door, kind of got me in there. But those were more kind of just a personal want to kind of get those, I guess.
Yeah, and as you can imagine, there's a number of students here, I'm sure, who are pursuing their degree and are looking at how are they viewed as possible candidates for full-time work with Atomic in terms of their background. So I appreciate you sharing that. I don't know, Tim, if you had any other or Dustin on that respect.
No, just anybody who is curious, our careers page is up to date with jobs that are currently open. We're hiring for about a dozen jobs right now. So if you do have any specific questions about those, feel free to take a look at those and ask. Otherwise, that's all I have. If we want to open up to questions, let's go for it.
Can I do ask, because we'll just get a second here, what is it that keeps you excited about working at Atomic? What do you enjoy about the place?
For me, I'll start off by I've been here 4 months and I can already tell that it's a constantly changing environment. So anybody who likes to learn, likes to adapt, doesn't want to just be stuck doing the exact same thing every day. This is a great place to start off and build a career. You can kind of come in, kind of like Zach touched on, the knock or the service desk, and you can kind of choose your own adventure here, figure out what interests you and kind of build towards it. If you want to work for it, you're competent, you do a good job, you can do anything. So that's my favorite aspect of it.
And I'll jump in and add, the number one thing that you can bring to the table is a passion for what you're doing. Because if you're going into this technology field, you're definitely going to want a passion for it. There's always so much to keep up with. Things change constantly. So that passion is gonna really drive you far. And that attitude where you're enjoying what you're doing is what will carry you, because there's going to be continuous education, continuous learning. That's all just part of being in the field. So approaching it with that curiosity will keep you fresh and allow you to re-engage with the new things as they come out, take on those harder challenges, raise your hand, say, yeah, I think I can do that, and just get in and start solving problems.
I got a question for Tim and Dustin. Can you grow if you start as an entry level?
Absolutely. A huge focus on growth internally. We do love to see that out of employees, and selfishly, that's a good thing for the company too. If you can develop employees to want to stay with you, provide more and more value to the company, that's a huge benefit. So you walk around the offices, you can see people in every single department that started off, entry level positions that have worked their way up to the position that they want to be at long term.
So there's a number of questions that have popped in. Thanks everyone for contributing. One of them is, are there positions for software engineer entry level or for new grad computer science major students?
Yeah, there absolutely are. So like a level 1 engineer at Atomic is sort of that college plus some experience doing some projects type thing. So one thing as you're going through this, I mentioned passion. It's always good to play around with something that you're interested in the technology that you're learning. Have a little pet project and put that out in a repo somewhere, like a GitHub, where you're kind of building that portfolio to, you'll be doing stuff in school that you can put up there. But stuff that you're passionate about, sort of an interest, is a good way to get that attention, so that when you apply, people can see that you're actually starting to work in it. But yeah, the level 1 position is sort of someone who's new, who's got enough experience to get in and start working, but they'll be working close with the level 2s, the level 3s here, to educate them and reinvest in that person. Because like I mentioned, that passion is going to get you really far.
There are a couple questions related to internships, or at what point in the pursuit of degree is the best time to try and get either an internship, or I would also ask, just as we talked with Zach, should they apply even though they have not completed their degree yet, but they have some experience perhaps from class and projects from class?
So internship wise, we don't currently have a set program for that. I don't want to promise too much on that. Internships we have right now are handled on more of a one-off basis. But we are always looking into starting up internship programs. I know some of them are being talked about right now, but I don't want to, say too much about, I don't want to make any promises about internships in the future until I know a little bit more about that. Sorry, what was the other part of the question? What's the best time to?
Yeah, I think part of it is as you had mentioned earlier, Tim, about us, applying for a job while you're still going to school, and if you have that flexibility for full-time while you're going to school part-time, can people feel like they can apply without having previous experience in the role?
So I'll tell you from a recruiter standpoint, I've never been angry at getting an application at any point. Always love to see people applying, even if you may lack qualifications or experience for the role. It shows that you're interested. I will at least reach out to you and talk to you, and talk to the hiring managers, see if we can, even if it's talking to you about career development and a path to get down, it's certainly worthwhile to put yourself forward and apply for a role that you're interested in.
Well, let me jump in. I'll do a little quick advertisement. For your resume, if you have experience from the classroom, you have projects you've worked on, and assignments that are something you want to talk about, and if that's your experience, then that should go on your resume, because you don't want the recruiter to assume just because you're in the degree that you're ready to go. So please think about listing the software and the work you've got in terms of technical capabilities and languages and systems, and definitely list some of and describe some of the projects you've worked on, because otherwise there will be no keywords that the recruiter and or hiring manager can identify as, oh, indicators of your experience. So I hope that if you take one thing away besides wanting to work for Atomic Data today, is bulk up that resume with applied experiences, regardless of your background. Zach, is the NOC position an entry type of any entry opportunity? And if so, could you share a little bit more about what a NOC 2, NOC 1, whatever role might entail on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I think the NOC 1 role is considered an entry-level position. And, a service desk level 1. And, in the past, I don't know if they still do this, but in the past, if they interview somebody for a NOC position or even an engineer position, and they don't meet the, requirements for that role, but they see that they have potential to, fit into a different position, like in the service desk or the NOC, they might redirect them to that hiring manager or suggest them for that department. And then they might interview there. But yeah, the NOC, it helped to have, practical experience, whether it was gained through, just previous, home lab work or through school, whatever it was, it helped to have that and, want to, go home or go to school and learn more to, supplement, my knowledge at work and be able to work on other stuff in the NOC as well. So.
Yeah, and if you're interested in doing software as well, you're never going to escape the concept of the NOC. So it's a good place to start because, you've got that continuous integration, continuous delivery, you're monitoring your systems. On the software side here, right, we're managing all the Kubernetes and containerization. So you never get away from that. Anytime you're deploying products, you're going to be managing those products and making sure that they're available. So NOC is always a good place to start. And then like Zach mentioned, a lot of this stuff you can get more experience with as you're learning at home. ESXi you can set up for free, right? You can virtualize, learn how to do that. Build stuff, break it, right? And you're not breaking the company stuff at that point, you're just learning. So that will take you a long way because even in software, it's one of those fields where you can learn a lot on your own too. So even if you've never engaged in a start to finish corporate product, you've been, working on some passion products, you're in a Git project with a couple people, you're collaborating, you're learning how to work together with a team and do those pushes. That goes a long way too.
With the example of Zach, there was the NOC 1, 2, 3, 4. Could you talk a little bit about other entry-level positions, and then a little bit of progression possibilities, what might come after those entry-level positions?
Sure. So I think, yeah, in the NOC, they have, kind of a tiered, the NOC 1 is entry level. And I think they have a NOC level 2. And then after that, I think it's NOC shift lead or team lead. And just from NOC 1 to NOC 2 to, team lead, it just kind of is more leadership or managerial, not managerial, but kind of just a team, for your shift or your team, just kind of being, a more senior resource on the team, as you gain knowledge within the company, being a resource for your level 1s to go to and to train new hires and, just be an escalation point from, level one resources. And I think, I can't speak to their kind of how they practice, the promoting to the, from level one to level two now, but, it is, at least when I was there, it was experience-based. So it's just kind of how you're performing your role and how you're doing. So
for those people, I'm just reading some of the comments here. I do just want to jump in. I know I directed people to the careers page. We're talking a lot about the NOC. NOC technician is not currently posted on our career page. It will be in the next 24 hours, but it is currently listed for Atomic Data on Indeed. So you can apply that way, or I will have it on the website in the next 24 hours.
Is there other entry levels besides the NOC that you could share a little bit about a path, potential path?
Yeah, there's the service desk. Service desk has the tiered positions within it as well. I'm not sure about other entry level positions, Tim, from a technical standpoint.
Yeah, so the other ones outside of that would be largely non-technical, and you can move from those into a position like the NOC or the service desk, where you can move on throughout. So positions like our admin positions, even our account coordinator positions, I don't know if I'd qualify those as entry level, but are a way to get started in the company without a technical background. Oh, and actually we just had a position that is going to be posted publicly tomorrow for a customer support representative. So that will be a more entry level position in our sales team. Again, not a technical role. I don't want to talk too much about it here, but just another entry level opportunity with the company.
Now, you had mentioned level one engineer as kind of an entry point. What's the path from that starting point, potential path?
Yeah, I think it's performance or experience based as a coming out of a service desk or a NOC role like I did, or a direct hire from outside the company, just based on experience. But yeah, I guess as a progression, if you started as a NOC level one like I did, and worked your way through the NOC, and once you got to a point where you were more valuable outside the NOC than you were in the NOC, they would ask to take you out of there. So
we're talking a lot about applications and applying for positions and so on. I'm curious about the other kind of networking that we talk a lot about in career development, connecting with people, making professional, building professional relationships, getting involved in associations in your field and so on. And Tim, nice invite to, that you would talk with students. I'm curious, how has networking or connecting with people in your field played out for the three of you in your career paths? And what would you recommend for students in addition to applying for positions? How can they comfortably expand their professional networks in this field?
So, I mean, I can speak for recruiting. Networking is huge. That's, the number one way you're going to get ahead of the curve in finding talent is to know, the talent in the field. Part of the difficulty of breaking into a new field is building a new network. So kind of starting that path here, so I can kind of relate to that. I would say just kind of delve into any sort of online communities, communities at schools, in your community, anything like that to kind of build networks, and that kind of organically grows after you get that ball rolling. It just kind of keeps going. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, and obviously the past few years have kind of changed how we do those networking events, at least for the foreseeable short-term future. But there are tons of events going around. So there are like hacker conventions that, or they'll call them hackathons, where you're not actually doing hacking, right? But You might be getting together over the weekend to kind of kit bash an application or do something with a team. And those are good ways to get to know people, to improve your skills, and to add something to your resume, right, that you've done. And there are a lot of those things going around. I know in the past I've volunteered at camps for girls who do coding, or there are programs that I volunteered at where we take these Lego kits and help kids learn how to program with these robotic Lego kits. And that's a good way to meet people as you're kind of getting familiar with the ecosystem that you're looking for a job in. And then, of course, once you get into those positions, taking ownership of your work will help connect you with all the people that you're working with. That will help you get those advancement opportunities where you're not just doing what you got to do to get that check, you're actually caring about the success of your customer that you're working with. And that goes a long way too. I know when I moved around to a couple companies the past few years, I had kind of a core set of guys that I would drag with me, right? As soon as I got in, COO over here, it's like I call them up. Hey, you guys want to come back? And that goes a long way too. So networking as you are getting started, those events that can help you put something on your resume to say, hey, I'm involved, I'm passionate, I care, is the thing you're going to go with. And then over the duration, just taking ownership of your work will connect you to those people who you want to be connected with as you're growing your career later on.
What advice would you give to someone transitioning into IT? How do I get my foot in the door?
As far as getting your foot in the door, just put yourself out there if you're looking to get into the company. My own kind of selfish advice is just send me your resume. I will take a look at it. I'll include my email here in the chat. If anybody wants to send me over their resume, I will look it over and I will talk to you and let you know kind of where we would look at for getting into the company, if that's a fit, and kind of where you could grow from there.
In terms of your previous experience, a lot of those skills can be lateral transition or translations, right? So you might be new in this technical area, but you still have troubleshooting and engineering experience that you can highlight. It's all problem solving. You're just problem solving a different type of problem. So building on what you've done, and especially mechanical engineering, is so similar to software engineering, right? We're just doing virtual fixing. It's highly translatable, and you can highlight those pieces as you're getting your foot in the door. And same thing, I think I saw someone mention something about food service in the background. That's great customer service, identifying customer requirements, communication, empathy. All those things are highly translatable into what you're doing in the technology field.
Thank you for that, Dustin. That's so important that people think about the transferable skills as they also look at the technical skills at the same time. You don't want to hire anybody who doesn't have the people skills, no matter how good they are technically, I think. One of the questions was, what may be a starting position or opportunity for cybersecurity students at Atomic Data?
I think the NOC is probably a good spot to start. So
that was the question that prompted me to mention that the NOC wasn't on there. I think that would be the best route to go if you're looking to go into that field.
How would the cybersecurity experience and classes apply to the NOC position?
I'd say just having the general understanding of from a security standpoint, how network traffic works. So when you get alerts, or you see alerts from our alerting systems, you're able to identify what those alerts mean and actually know what they mean. So many times people see an alert and they have no idea what it means to even be able to articulate to whoever they're sending that ticket to, or who they're trying to coordinate with to identify if it's a problem or fix the problem, like what the alert is for. So, being able to have that foundation is helpful. We do have, security departments too. So, NOC is kind of a starting point to pivot to a different department if you're, solely interested in security. So
Yeah, and the network operations center is sort of that 10,000-foot view of everything that's going on. So
Yeah,
when you
but-
start to see, a router spike or something, right? What's going on? The DDoS is something happening. It's sort of the eye in the sky for those cyber intrusion problems.
If you have someone who's a new start, do you have ways of helping him or her be successful as they learn the biz and work their way through the new culture and environment?
So I can kind of speak real quickly on just as being a newer employee. I'm the first recruiter, at least that's been there in a long time, only recruiter in the company, and I kind of came into a position where there wasn't really a direct person that I was asking every question to, and everybody in this company has just been fantastic. Super knowledgeable, really willing to answer any questions that you have. And I've noticed in other departments, the focus on mentorship and building development of the employees is honestly the best I've seen at a company. So
Yeah, and part of the reason Atomic has been so successful from my experience here is because it knows to invest in those resources. And that's what, you guys are extremely valuable resources. So the one thing that you can't educate is the right attitude, but as long as you bring that, everything else you can grow.
I got another question. What do you guys will recommend a student who got a strong accent, but English not his first language or second or third, even not the seventh, but they get an accent, they get an interview. It's hard for you to understand the candidate, but you understand they have the knowledge and the capability to do the job. So what kind of recommendation would you have somebody like that?
My point of view, if you can communicate your thoughts clearly, as long as you can get your point across, I think that's not going to be too much of a hindrance. And I think as it goes into programming, I'm sure the more languages you know is usually to your benefit. So I wouldn't look at it as a negative. Just talking about our 40% minority staff at Atomic, which is rare among IT companies. We are focused on growing that. I think that's a great way to building diversity is kind of a great way to build new skills and kind of develop the company as a whole. So we really are focused on maintaining and growing that diversity even higher going forward.
So for the positions that you're looking for, would you be open to people who are graduating in May, graduating in August, graduating in a year from now? Does it matter? What do you think?
But yes, absolutely. If you're interested in getting your foot in the door, especially if Atomic seems like a good fit for you, great idea to get your foot in the door, in the service desk or the NOC. You can be straightforward when you're interviewing, saying, look, I'm going to be graduating. I'm looking to develop beyond this position. Here's what I'm thinking. We're willing to work with people, and especially those students who might be going part-time, looking for some full-time employment while they're pursuing their degree. I think that's a great option. So yeah, even if you have a couple years left, sure.
Yep. Yeah, I'd say apply now. And they were, at least for me, they were, bent over backwards to kind of make accommodations for me to get to class or, whatever it was. So just very good there.
Good to hear. And one thing I did notice when you have those multiple locations, do people move to different locations, or are those more sites of server farms or whatever the term is?
Some people do. Those are much smaller operations. Cincinnati and San Diego in particular, we have a few employees, but not a very small percentage of our workforce compared to Minneapolis.
How many in Minneapolis, roughly?
How many in Minneapolis specifically? I want to say 194, but I'm not 110% positive. So don't quote me on it, but close to 200.
Changing all the time, hopefully for the positive. Okay.
So for the knock and the service desk, those are on-site positions. So we don't offer remote work there. All our positions, kind of the company philosophy is to regularly be in the office. Many of the positions have a 3-day in the office, 2-day remote policy. But management is pretty flexible with the scheduling. But knock and service desk are both on-site positions. So that would be in our facility. Like we kind of touched on, it's a very cool facility, but you would be here.
Is there a good order for acquiring certifications for cybersecurity?
I think it kind of depends on what your experience level is to begin with. If you have a foundation, or you can skip to some more advanced right off the bat. I know there's a group at Metro State in the computer science department that I think it's what's the group called? Is it MinCyber? Do they still do that there? I think they were kind of scoped to that certification kind of track through Metro State. Yeah, I think it definitely depends on what the certification is for, what vendor it's through, or if it's kind of a general one, the general certifications like CompTIA.
All right, so we have a lot of valuable experience sitting right here in front of you. We couldn't afford their hourly rate. So does anybody have any other questions that you can think of?
Is your window on reply when an application is sent in? Thank you.
The goal is always within 24 hours, barring any sort of issue with scheduling or something like that. I mean, I can always respond to people and want to build those relationships.
Is the 3 days in office, 2 days remote solely for entry level roles, or is the company more lenient towards senior level roles? And then number 2, is the service technician level 1 role more dedicated towards a cybersecurity student, or should the more general computer science student consider applying as well?
So for the first part of that, the 3 days in the office, I probably shouldn't have promised too much there. That's not a written in policy. That is just kind of the way it's been working mostly since the pandemic. But that would be for our entry level positions. The service desk and knock would not be able to participate in that. That is a position that has to be done on site. I'm sorry, what was the rest of the question?
Is that service technician level 1 role more dedicated towards a cybersecurity student, or can the more general computer science student consider applying as well?
I would say definitely more general is certainly capable of that position. I don't know if Zach or Dustin want to speak to that at all, but
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, your computer science is the foundation of everything you're doing, from code to virtualization to everything. So, from there, you can really branch out into what you're interested in doing. What's your end goal? Is there like a specific thing that you want to be doing in 5 years, we'll say?
Software engineering. I have an interest in cybersecurity, but I've taken no classes. I have no experience.
Yeah, so I mean, that's, like I mentioned, that's still the place that you can get started, right? Because you're going to know the infrastructure that these applications are running on, because you're maintaining it, watching it, monitoring it, getting familiar with how to log in, how to move around, where things are stored, troubleshooting. The network side of things is always going to be a part of that software engineering side. And then that computer science background is going to make it a lot easier for you to write efficient code. So as you're working in the NOC, you can keep building that software skill, keep working on those projects, furthering your education. Instead of watching 2 hours of Netflix, watch 1 hour of Netflix and 1 hour of webinars, that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much to Tim, Zach, and Dustin for spending their time with us. And thank you for everyone for participating. Next steps are to take a look at those roles, get your resume put together nicely. And that's where Emily and Bill and I would love to help you out, help you put those applied experiences from the classroom on there to bulk up that content. And we can do that pretty quickly. Other than that, thanks again, Tim, Zach, and Dustin. And